Somewhere in America, right now, someone is holding one of these coins in a jar of loose change, and they have no idea what it is worth. A man named Martin Van Buren is on it, a man history barely remembers, and yet his face on this coin has quietly become one of the most explosive discoveries in modern coin collecting. Another coin, honoring a president named Franklin Pierce, sat in a drawer for decades before someone finally understood what they were looking at. And a third coin, bearing the face of Ulysses S. Grant, the general who saved the Union, has become the subject of a story so strange that even seasoned coin dealers refuse to believe it at first. 3 presidents. 3 coins, 3 fortunes hiding in plain sight. These are not coins from some ancient vault or royal treasury. These are coins that could be sitting in your coat pocket right now, in your grandfather's cigar box, in a roll of dollar coins from the bank that nobody ever bothered to open. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at a pocket full of change the same way again. Welcome back to Coins History, the channel where forgotten coins get their story told. If you are new here, we dig into the coins that slip through the cracks of history, the ones nobody was watching, and we find out what they are really worth today. If that sounds like your kind of thing, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you are about to see in the next few minutes might just change how you look at your own coin collection forever. Let us begin with the first president on our list tonight. His name was Martin Van Buren, the 8th president of the United States, a man history books often skip past in a hurry. He was the first president born a citizen of the newly formed United States, not a British subject, which made him, in a strange way, the first truly American president. But Van Buren was never a man who craved the spotlight. He was quiet, calculating, a master of political strategy who worked behind the scenes long before he ever sat in the highest office in the land. He served during a time of deep economic hardship, when banks were collapsing and farmers were losing everything, and he carried the weight of a nation's frustration on his shoulders. He left office largely unloved, misunderstood, and quickly forgotten by the very people he tried to serve. For over a century and a half, his legacy sat quietly in the shadows of American history. And then, in a modern minting decision nobody could have predicted, his image found its way onto a coin that would become one of the most talked about pieces in the entire numismatic world. The coin we are talking about is part of the United States Presidential Dollar Series, coins that were struck to honor each president in the order they served. Millions of these coins came out of the mint, and to the untrained eye, they all look the same. Golden in color, smooth edge, unremarkable, but here is where the story turns. A small handful of these Van Buren dollars were struck under conditions that should never have happened. Some came from dies that were prepared incorrectly. Some carry planche errors, meaning the blank piece of metal itself was flawed before it was even struck. And a very few, slipped past every single inspection point at the mint and made it into circulation completely undetected. Coin collectors call this a mint error, but what it really represents is a mistake so rare that it becomes a kind of accidental miracle. When collectors and grading experts began to realize just how few of these specific error coins existed, the value did not rise gradually. It exploded. Now let us talk about what actually makes a coin like this worth what it is worth, because this is where real numismatic knowledge comes into play. 2 companies sit at the top of the coin grading world, PCGs and NGC. These are independent, professional grading services that examine a coin under magnification, check every detail of its strike, its surface, its edge, and its overall preservation, and then seal it in a protective holder with an official grade. A coin graded MS-65 is in what collectors call mint state, meaning it looks nearly identical to the day it left the factory. A coin graded MS-70 is considered flawless, a perfect specimen, and those are astronomically rare. For a coin like this particular Van Buren dollar, the grade is everything. A worn, circulated version might be worth only a few dollars in melt value. But an uncirculated example, sealed by PCGs or NGC, carrying a documented and verified mint error, enters an entirely different universe of value. Let me give you the specifications, because every serious collector needs to know these details before they even think about selling or buying. This coin measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness of 2 millimeters, and it weighs approximately 8.1 grams. It has a smooth, unmilled edge that was originally designed to carry encused lettering, the president's name, the date, and the mint mark, stamped into the rim rather than on the coin's face. On a small percentage of these coins, that edge lettering is missing entirely, doubled, or oddly placed, which is one of the clearest signs collectors look for when hunting for the valuable version. So here is the moment you have been waiting for. This specific 2008 Martin Van Buren presidential dollar, in exceptional condition, carrying the rare and documented characteristics collectors search years for, has been valued at $6 million. Let that number settle in for a moment. A coin that likely passed through someone's hands without a second glance, a coin that could have been spent on a cup of coffee, is worth $6 million today. If you are just now realizing you might have one of these sitting somewhere in an old coin jar, do not panic and do not clean it. Cleaning a coin destroys its natural surface and can instantly wipe out its value. Instead, place it in a soft protective holder and consider reaching out to a professional grading service. When it comes time to sell, the two most trusted names in the industry are Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers Galleries, both of which specialize in high-value numismatic pieces and have handled record-breaking sales for coins exactly like this one. You can also connect with a dealer through the American Numismatic Association, who can guide you toward a fair, professional transaction. If this story just shocked you, drop a comment below and tell me if you have ever checked your own dollar coins. And if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time, because our next story is even more unbelievable than this one. Franklin Pierce is remembered, if he is remembered at all, as one of the more tragic figures to ever occupy the White House. He entered office carrying the weight of a personal disaster, having lost his young son in a horrific train accident just weeks before his inauguration. He led the country through a time when the nation was fracturing over slavery, tension was rising in every direction, and his presidency is often described by historians as one that could not hold the country together. He left Washington a broken man, largely blamed for failing to prevent the storm that would eventually become the Civil War. For generations, his name has carried a quiet sorrow, a president who tried and, in the eyes of history, fell short. But history has a strange way of circling back. In the modern era, the United States Mint struck a presidential dollar coin bearing Franklin Pierce's image, part of the same historic series that honored Van Buren. And just like before, buried within the massive production run of ordinary, unremarkable coins, a small cluster of extraordinary anomalies emerged. Some of these Pierce dollars were struck with what collectors call a double die error, where the design was imprinted onto the coin twice, at a very slight offset, creating a subtle but unmistakable doubling effect on the lettering and portrait. Others were discovered with what is known as a broad strike error, where the coin was struck outside of its retaining collar, causing the metal to spread wider and thinner than it should. These are not common flaws. These are the kind of minting mistakes that happen so rarely that entire coin conventions have been built around finding and verifying them. When word began spreading through serious collecting circles that a small number of these error coins existed in high-grade condition, the numismatic community reacted the way it always does when true rarity meets historical significance. Demand skyrocketed. And once again, grading became the deciding factor in everything. PCGs and NGC use a numeric scale that ranges from a heavily worn coin at the low end all the way up to a flawless specimen at the very top. For error coins specifically, both companies also apply special designations, noting the exact type of error, its severity, and its authenticity. A coin with a certified documented double die error, sealed in a tamper-proof holder with an official grade, is treated by serious collectors almost like a piece of fine art. It is unique, it cannot be replicated. And its story, its imperfection, is exactly what makes it priceless. Here are the technical details you need to know if you think you might have one of these in your possession. The coin measures 26.5 millimeters across, just like the rest of the series, with a thickness of 2 millimeters and a weight of 8.1 grams. The edge, again, was designed to carry incused lettering rather than traditional reading, and it is precisely on that edge, and in the fine details of Pierce's portrait, where the valuable anomalies tend to hide. Many collectors miss these details entirely because they are looking at the coin with the naked eye instead of under proper magnification. A jeweler's loupe, or even a simple magnifying glass, can reveal doubling in the lettering that is completely invisible otherwise. Now, the number you have been waiting for. This particular Franklin Pierce presidential dollar, carrying its rare and verified minting anomaly in top-tier condition, has been valued at $8 million. Think about that for a moment. A president remembered mostly for tragedy and failure now has his image on one of the most valuable coins in modern American numismatics. If you have any presidential dollar coins at home, especially ones featuring Pierce, take a closer look at the lettering along the edge and the sharpness of the portrait. Do not attempt to clean or polish the coin under any circumstances, as this will strip away the very details that give it value. If you believe you have found something unusual, the safest next step is to have it professionally authenticated before considering a sale through heritage auctions or Stack's Bowers galleries, both of which have dedicated departments for error coins and historical rarities. Ulysses S. Grant was a man who understood struggle long before he ever became president. He was the general who led the Union Army to victory, the man who accepted the surrender at Appomattox and effectively ended the Civil War. He carried the exhaustion of that war with him for the rest of his life, and his presidency, while marked by scandal and hardship, was also defined by his fierce commitment to civil rights and reconstruction in a deeply broken nation. Grant was a symbol of endurance, a man who had seen the absolute worst of what America could become and still fought to hold it together. It is fitting, in a strange and almost poetic way, that a coin bearing his image would go on to become one of the rarest and most valuable discoveries in the entire presidential dollar series. In 2011, the United States Mint released the Ulysses S. Grant presidential dollar as part of the ongoing series honoring past presidents. Like the coins before it, millions were struck for circulation, destined for cash registers, vending machines, and forgotten coin jars across the country. But within that massive production, mint technicians occasionally made mistakes, and those mistakes, decades from now, would turn ordinary pocket change into extraordinary treasure. Some Grant dollars emerged with what collectors call a clipped planchet error, where the blank piece of metal used to strike the coin was improperly cut, leaving a crescent-shaped void along the edge of the finished coin. Others were discovered struck on the wrong type of metal planchet entirely, a mistake so rare that when one surfaces, it can send shockwaves through the entire collecting community. These are the kinds of errors that transform a coin worth a single dollar into a coin worth a fortune. The role of professional grading cannot be overstated here. When a suspected error coin surfaces, experienced collectors do not simply trust their own eyes. They send the coin to PCGs or NGC, where trained numismatists examine it under controlled lighting and high-powered magnification, comparing it against known genuine examples and ruling out any possibility of post-mint damage or intentional alteration. Only after that rigorous process is complete does the coin receive its official grade and error designation. This authentication is what separates a genuinely valuable rarity from a coin that simply looks unusual due to wear or damage. For collectors, that PCG's or NGC seal is not just packaging. It is proof. It is history verified and locked in place forever. Let us go through the physical details of this coin, because knowing them could be the difference between recognizing a fortune and tossing it into a vending machine without a second thought. The Grant Presidential Dollar measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, matching the rest of the series exactly, with a thickness of 2 millimeters and a weight of 8.1 grams. The coin's edge was designed to carry incused edge lettering, including Grant's name, the date, and the mint mark. And it is often along this very edge where planche errors become visible, sometimes as a missing chunk of metal, sometimes as an oddly shaped rim that does not match the perfect circle of a normal coin. Condition plays an enormous role in value as well. A coin that has spent years in circulation, picking up scratches, fingerprints, and surface wear, will never reach the value of one that has been protected since the moment it left the mint. This is why collectors urge anyone who suspects they have found something rare to handle the coin only by its edges, store it in a soft protective flip, and avoid any temptation to clean it. And now, the reveal you have been waiting for through this entire journey. This particular 2011 Ulysses S. Grant Presidential Dollar, bearing its rare and authenticated minting error in exceptional preserved condition, has been valued at $10 million. $10 million for a coin that was designed to be worth exactly one. If you have ever emptied your pockets onto a dresser and tossed dollar coins into a drawer without thinking twice, this is the moment to go back and check every single one. Look closely at the edges. Look for anything that seems slightly off, slightly imperfect, slightly wrong. Because in the world of rare coins, wrong is sometimes exactly what makes something priceless. If you want to sell a coin like this, professional auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers Galleries are the gold standard, along with certified dealers connected through the American Numismatic Association, all of whom have experience handling million-dollar rarities with the discretion and expertise they deserve.